Hey guys, welcome back to Sports with Mono and Mono on a frigid fourth day
Ooh,
of February 2023. And Steve, cold out there, isn't it?
7 degrees cold.
I know. But that's the Northeast. If we were smart, we'd be living down south with,
We've had a good winter, though, I gotta say.
yeah. Haven't even had to break out the shovel yet, to be quite honest. So it's the fourth day of February 2023. And Steve, I'll hand it to you for your monologue this week, sponsored by Coriano Trucking of Summerhill, New York.
You got it. So, folks, I talked to a loyal listener, Mr. Walsh, out of Long Island, 2 days ago, and he saw our show a couple weeks ago. And Jim is a good friend of mine, actually. So he took umbrage with our Scott Rowland Hall of Fame or not declaration. And I think we both said Hall of Fame.
Ah,
Well, I'm getting to it. I said Hall of Fame, but he reminded me of the Monahan rule. Hall of Famer, 5 seconds, yes or no. And he reminded me of our rule of thumb. And I told him, I said, you're right. Scott Rowland, I guess because not a lot of worthy candidates out there. So I researched them more than I typically would anybody. And at the end of the day, he's right. He's in the Hall of Fame. He's going to the Hall of Fame. Okay. But he reminded me of the cardinal rule of money.
we give the name, the declaration right then and there.
Correct. And I called my brother Tom as well. And Chris. We have a lot of brothers. And both of them were like, nah, it's not all. And you know what? I'm just saying that's why I'm going back to the staple of Hall of Famer, 5 second rule.
Yeah.
And listen, like with baseball, there's guys coming up that it's not going to hell of a lot more 5 second rule guys.
Yeah.
But my brother Tom made a valid point. Hall of Fame is like a TV event now. So people got to get in the Hall of Fame, right? Whether or not they deserve it or not. I found that interesting. But my monologue is, folks, going forward, I'm going back to the 5 second.
Well, when we were talking about Scott Rowland, and I keep bringing up this name, I mean, if Scott Rowland is in, then Jeff Kent should be in because Jeff Kent has a higher career batting average, has a lot more home runs, drove in 100 runs, way more than Scott Rowland. And for some reason, he doesn't even get a look. And that's what was so confusing to me about the whole Scott Rowland thing. And you're right, Steve. Somebody has to get in because it's a Cooperstown event and it's a Major League Baseball showcase. But you know what? For him to be going in by himself seems a little.
Well, he's going in with McGriff.
Yeah, but that's kind of Veterans Committee type thing, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Um,
Good point, though. And Mr. Walsh, we thank you because I know you're a loyal listener, and we certainly appreciate it. And if you catch us on something, that's why we tell people. We'd love to hear your thoughts and some feedback, and send us the email at sportswithmonoandmono@gmail.com.
but back to Kent. Who elects these guys to the Hall of Fame? Sports writers. Jeff Kent was not the most popular guy.
Yeah, I know that.
Right. But Scott Rowland is a good guy, right? So I think that's why Kent is not in.
Yeah, but you got to go on the numbers, not the.
You do,
not the
but that's
person.
the point,
I got it.
right?
I got it.
So
So, Steve, let's move on, and we'll start with And then there were two, right? Championship game weekend was last week. Philadelphia, pretty impressive, gotta say. And Cincinnati, you and I both took Cincinnati. Thought this was Joe Burrow's time to shine, but we broke our cardinal rule. We should never bet against Patrick Mahomes. I mean, when we talk warrior, this guy was playing literally on one foot and he got it done. I just can't say enough about this guy. And he's going to win. I don't know. We'll talk about our pick for the Super Bowl. But what a performance by him. I can't say enough about him.
Right. So when we went into Cincinnati, Buffalo, Cincinnati had the 3 offensive linemen that were hurt, right? But they kicked the crap out of Buffalo.
That's exactly my point. Yeah, you're right.
But against Chiefs, Burrow got 4 sacked 4 times in the first half.
He did.
So it came back to haunt him a little bit there. I'm not, listen, I said before the game, I got to go with Burrow, because I said, why am I betting against Burrow? But then you're playing Patrick Mahomes, one ankle and all that, and Kelsey was banged up and nobody knew that. But these 2 guys showed up, Kansas City, Andy Reid.
Yep.
Good game. Cincinnati's got nothing to,
They'll be back. They got a team.
Back. But Patrick Mahomes is special.
He is beyond special.
And this is a good Super Bowl. Listen, it's the Andy Reid Bowl, Philly, Kansas City. I'm rooting for Kansas City. It's going to be a good game.
It is. And, it was
they're the 2 best teams.
And it was kind of a shame that the way the San Francisco, Purdy injury, they didn't have a backup that was, even remotely serviceable. So that game was kind of lost in the first half. Give the kid Purdy some credit. I mean, he didn't go into the locker room. He knew that there was no quarterbacks left. So he had to come in, but basically, he was a one-armed quarterback.
He was, as it turned out, his elbow was shot, got surgery.
Yeah, and, more severe than I thought.
It was a tough break, but San Francisco, they weathered the storm. I got to say, Christian McCaffrey's run was special, man. I thought of Earl Campbell, actually. And McCaffrey's a little guy.
That's high praise.
But that run, on that touchdown run, I mean, he smoked 4 Eagles. Just ran through them. He's special, Christian McCaffrey.
He is. And they'll be back too. I mean, they got a team, a foundation. Whether Purdy can come back from this serious injury, but it was a shame that it went down that way. But I think all in all, if you look at it, Philadelphia is going on all cylinders right now, and it's going to be a great Super Bowl. It really is.
And I want to call out this Hassan Reddick kid on Philly defense, number 7. He's the one who crushed Purdy. What a player! This guy is from Temple, right? Our Hunter boy, our producer that Rob had us meet, Temple boy.
Yeah.
Impressive. Philly, listen, it's gonna be a good game.
And let's do the pick now because
Sure.
And I can see I'm not betting against Patrick Mahomes. I'm just not going to do it.
I'm Kansas City.
As good as Philadelphia looks, and I think Hurts is healthy. They got a lot of weapons, but I just can't go against Patrick Mahomes, and he's going to be, he's going to have 2 legs to work on, and it makes him even much more difficult to contain. I'm going to go with Kansas City to win that Super Bowl.
I am too. And again, a couple of years back, I said Kansas City's going to win 2 out of.
You did.
I think I said 3 out of 6. I'll take 2 out of 5.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a good game. Rob, what do you think?
Guys, we are Giants and Cowboys fans. We could not root for the Eagles.
No,
It has nothing to do with rooting for them. We're talking about between the lines kind of thing. And
I-
Patrick Mahomes is a proven winner. Hurts could be that kind of a guy going forward. This is a big stage, right? First time two black quarterbacks starting the Super Bowl, which I find completely irrelevant to their football players, and that's that.
it's
But
actually historical. I mean, you have to make.
I just want to see
What?
Andy Reid get some revenge. That's all.
yeah, I know. So does he. Anyway,
And
so
Andy Reid is a good guy. I mean, I'm pulling for Kansas City. Do I hate anything Philly? Yes, I do.
except
but-
cheesesteaks, they're good.
Except Pat and Gene. But I'm being objective here. I think with Mahomes,
Yep.
Kelsey, and that's another storyline too. Is the Kelsey brothers, So
Yeah, it is.
Jason and Travis. These guys are both going to go to the Hall of Fame, no question. So it's going to be a good game. They're the two best teams.
Yep. So it'll be in sunny Arizona and 1 week from tomorrow.
A lot of Super Bowls in Arizona.
Yeah, it's a good place to have it.
I think the Giants Patriots was Arizona. I do
Uh,
believe one of them was.
maybe one of them was, yeah. So Steve, there's some other football news let's talk about, right? Tom Brady officially announced his retirement, and
Tom Brady.
I think this time it's for real.
No, it's
You know,
he's done.
I think it's done.
It's the right call.
Right, but what a career. I mean, you can't deny it. And you and I know him from his days at Michigan, and he wasn't even the starter half of the time. It was crazy how it turned out that he's been the best quarterback this league has ever seen. And it's time, right? He's probably going to be 46 if he came to training camp next year. Too many miles, but what a career. And we got it. I do, and you do believe that this is legitimately
Oh yeah,
the retirement.
it is.
you know.
It's time.
So a couple other quick things. Your Dallas Cowboys offensive coordinator, they had a change. I don't know if it was his decision, if it was McCarthy's decision, Jones's
Well, we
decision.
feel that Killen, it's time for Killen to move on. That's my Jerry impression.
But he-
But McCarthy's calling the plays. Okay? I don't have a problem with it. I don't. Kellen Moore, listen,
Hmm.
he just got hired by San Diego like 5 minutes after.
Yeah,
You let him
that's
go.
why I was wondering if this was already in motion before.
I think Mike McCarthy, listen, McCarthy's got to take ownership here. He's a play caller. He was the play caller when they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I don't have a problem with it.
well, it's a shakeup. I mean, is Dak Prescott your guy going forward? I think you even raised those questions last week,
I did.
and
He better step up. I'm telling you, because I said this. I said I've given him enough rope, but he's disappointed me. I got 1 more year of guaranteed money for him,
yeah,
and the Cowboys are going to have to make a decision. But
yeah.
I'm telling you, if we don't get to the championship game, at least we're talented enough to get to the Super Bowl.
Well,
I
let
buy
me.
Dak.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really he's got another year.
And it's kind of interesting because we did have the Sean Payton going to Denver thing, right?
Right
I
after
thought-
the show, basically.
I thought for sure he was going to be the coach of the Dallas Cowboys. I really thought that was in the works this whole time, and it was just a matter. But I'm not sure. McCarthy seems to be liked by Jerry Jones, or just Sean Payton didn't want to work for Jerry Jones. I don't know what the backstory is, but he's going to Denver, and can he turn around Russell Wilson and get him back on track? Because I don't think he's done, Russell Wilson. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the whole Nathaniel Hackett thing turned out to be just an absolute disaster. So now he ends up as the quarterback, offensive coordinator for the Jets. I don't know. I guess all that means is Aaron Rodgers is going to be a New York Jet. I can see that happening. I really do. You think that's going to happen?
Well, a couple things to your points. McCarthy's won 12 games back to back. Okay. Cowboys are good. I don't think he deserves to be fired. We just talked about him. Now he's going to call plays. Peyton, I thought, was a pretty good possibility. He was going to be the Dallas coach.
Yeah, I did too.
Now, Denver. Denver gave all these draft picks and capital to get Russell Wilson. So I didn't see it happening that they would give a number one to New Orleans for the compensation, but they got a number one from Miami for Bradley Chubb, right? So then if you look at the Rams, who've given up everything, basically, against Stafford and Von Miller and all that, draft picks, I think we put too much emphasis on. How many first round busts have we seen throughout the decades? Okay. There's other ways to skin a cat. The deal got done. It's a great place to coach. So Peyton fell in love with the place, got Russell Wilson, and it's a done deal. So makes sense, I guess, in retrospect. And I think Denver, that's a good move. I think Russell Wilson with Peyton will be Russell Wilson again.
And I always thought, though, when they made the trade, a lot of people automatically made them Super Bowl contenders, and I don't think they have that roster. Russell Wilson certainly wasn't going to be able to carry that all by himself. So Sean Payton's got a lot of work to do in Denver. I mean, they'll give him time.
Denver's got talent. I mean, listen, Nathaniel Hackett, was a disaster as a head coach, okay? But Nathaniel Hackett as an offensive coordinator, this guy's resume is pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers won 2 MVPs with him. Blake Bortles in Jacksonville was serviceable under him. I think Aaron Rodgers is definitely going to the Jets.
Yeah, I think so too.
Really, I don't see why the Jets shouldn't put all their chips in there. 2 years. Joe Willie's going to give him number 12. All signs indicate. Now, Derek Carr, the Raiders got to pay him $40 million by Wednesday, so he will be cut.
Yeah,
they're not going to pay him.
They already gave him
But the other thing
permission
was, if the Jets were hot for Derek Carr, that would mean Rodgers. That's not going to happen. So far, they're not hot for Derek Carr. Rodgers makes sense. Now back to Rodgers here, right? We talked about Tom Brady, right? Aaron Rodgers can't be compared to Tom Brady, 7 Super Bowls. Hypothetically, if Aaron Rodgers pulls this off, goes to the Jets, wins the Super Bowl, boy, is that good for his life.
I know, and I'm hoping that
Hypothetically, I'm just saying that is a haiku that cements Aaron Rodgers.
It would. And that's what he's all about. He's all about Aaron Rodgers, and he needs to secure his legacy. Like, if he does come to the Jets, he's got to deliver on this because he's running out of time. He's running out of time.
Well, does he have to? Yeah, that's the premise. This is like Messier coming to the Rangers. Messier pulled it off, right? But it's a tall task. It's the Jets we're talking about.
And listen, I think Rodgers is more concerned about winning MVPs than he is Super Bowls. I've always believed that. He talks about it all the time about, his 2 MVPs. I just lost a lot of respect for Aaron Rodgers. I know he's still good. I'm just saying, but I don't think he can come to the Jets. I don't think the Jets are Super Bowl champion worthy or Aaron Rodgers away from a Super Bowl. I just don't see it. Listen, a couple other things. DeMeco Ryans, right? Good guy. He was actually a good player. Finally, maybe Houston gets this right, with that Lovie Smith disaster. But he deserved an opportunity, and he got it. And it's kind of a hometown story, played with them. And, but sometimes you never know, right? Just like you brought up before, Steve, it doesn't necessarily translate. A great coach doesn't necessarily translate into a great head coach. So, he's got his work cut out for him because that team is starting from scratch. But I give him some kudos and wish him luck.
Absolutely. He's a good guy. San Francisco, #1 defense.
Yep.
Makes sense, right? But yeah, Houston's Houston. We got the #2 pick.
They think they got 2 and 12.
Yeah. They need a quarterback.
Yep. And then the other one was, still a couple openings. And one of the hot names was Lou Anarumo from defensive coordinator for Denver. I just, I'd love for him to get a shot. He's earned his stripes. Oh, what did I say? Yeah, Cincinnati. So that's a possibility, right? What's there? 2 vacancies left? I don't know. Carolina, that kind of thing.
Frank Reich.
Oh, Frank Reich got that job, yeah. But I wish,
Couple openings.
yeah, still some openings. But it was one funny thing, and me and my brother Thomas were talking about this Joe Judge situation and in New England. Even Mac Jones said this guy is incompetent. I don't understand why he's in this position calling plays on the offense. He's a special teams coach, and I think Bill Belichick got to realize what have I done here. So he brings Bill O'Brien back to work with Mac Jones because I think Mac Jones has got a lot of talent, and I think it was wasted with this experiment with Patrice and Joe Judge. I mean, Joe Judge is, I don't understand how he even has a job in this league.
He's a special teams guy.
Yeah.
Coach special teams. Makes sense, Bill O'Brien coming back. And again, Belichick realized it's a failed experiment.
What was he thinking, though? I had no experience.
Frankie Merman from Seinfeld.
I knew the reference. But you know why? We found this out, right? How important it is to have a coach to tutor and mentor, just like Dable and Jones in New York, right? I mean, we suspected Jones had talent. I've been all on board for him, and he finally got a coach. And look what kind of season he had. So hopefully this rights the ship for Belichick and Mac Jones to get back on the track, having a real coach.
Yeah, it is what it is. So Bill O'Brien leaves Alabama, and before the show we talked about who filled the offensive coordinator position for Alabama, Tommy Rees.
Yeah,
from Notre Dame.
I know.
I literally made the comment to Jim before the show. I said Tommy Rees would leave the Notre Dame for anything.
I know.
But
and I thought maybe it was because he didn't feel like he was given an opportunity to be the head coach. They gave it to Marcus Freeman instead. But
he was 30 years old. But he's a sharp kid, and and again with Belichick, Saban, it's not surprising. These guys are best friends. They're both the best of what they do.
Yep, they are.
So when you see names back and forth, Bill O'Brien and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yep. So, Steve, let's move on to the hardwood real quick because, and breaking news, Kyrie Irving wants a trade.
He does?
I mean, God.
Really?
It's been great not having to even mention his name on this.
We haven't even mentioned NBA in about 3 weeks.
Right. But I thought that was funny. I don't understand what this guy is all about.
Well, where's the #1 destination? Who's the only team that's going to take that?
I honestly don't know. Who is that?
The
team?
Los Angeles Lakers. That's it.
Is that really going to happen? Is that even?
You give me another team that could possibly want Kyrie Irving. Dallas, Jason Kidd. Oh, I can fix them. Maybe. But those are the only 2 teams I can think of.
Maybe.
But I wouldn't be surprised he lands in LA.
I don't think the Nets are going to trade him at all. I mean,
if I was the Nets, I'd be like, shut the hell up, go play.
And then you could walk after the season. That's how I see it go down.
Time and time again, we talk about Kyrie. He's not a stupid guy. He's a damn good basketball player.
Very good.
But Jesus Christ, enough is enough.
It's silly.
Really?
But anyway, when we look at the NBA, and obviously there's no defense in this league now. These guys are scoring 140 points a night, right? But I think the MVP early candidate should be Luka Doncic. This guy is what a player. He scored 50 points, I think, for like the fifth time this year, maybe
He's
something.
right there. I mean, he's having a great year, but this Jokic guy in Denver, 2-time back-to-back, this guy's a beast.
Yeah, but I think you got to spread that around, and Luka Doncic is kind of the
Yeah, but Jokic is points, rebounds. This guy is.
yeah, he's tough to move around. I'll give you that.
This guy is no joke.
But I think if not him, it's gonna have to be Doncic.
It's not going to be Julius Randle.
Yeah. But listen, the the turnaround, the Knicks have had with this Jalen Brunson, and you hit that right on the
He's a
head.
good player.
I didn't know he
He's
was.
a good kid too.
I didn't know he was that kind of a player,
He's good.
but he really is.
Yeah.
And again, people keep talking the Knicks; they're not going anywhere. They pack the house every night, so it really doesn't. They don't need that marquee guy. They do to win a championship, but not to fill seats because people go to the Knicks games. I mean, people go.
Listen,
500 team.
I mean, I'm still stunned about the Knicks, right? You wanted Donovan Mitchell, and he was there for the taking. They got 9 first-round freaking picks over the next several years, right? But Danny Ainge is a smart guy.
Yeah, he's a good
And
general
Utah,
manager.
and listen, he wanted what he wanted, and the Knicks weren't going to do it, and they didn't. And Cleveland jumps in, right? And Cleveland makes an offer to Utah, and Cleveland said, "You do not go back to the Knicks at all," because the Knicks had their shot.
Yeah.
So Mitchell winds up in Cleveland. And what did Mitchell do 2 weeks ago? 60 points or something, right?
Yeah, he's a player.
Now, is Donovan Mitchell a LeBron? Like, you know what I mean? Is he a franchise guy? He's a really good player, but the Knicks are still, they're not going anywhere with the roster as it is. And still, the superstar stud that you need to win a championship, they're still not coming to New York. I still don't get it.
Is
Still
it
don't
Dolan
get it.
that's chasing
I don't
them
know what it
away?
is.
I mean, I don't know.
I just don't know what it is.
Yeah, but they're a 500 team. And
They're
look,
better. I mean, they're not the laughing stock of the league anymore. But
they can't win at home
then,
either.
yeah,
They
I
can't
mean,
win at home.
the Knicks will make the playoffs, and then out
Yeah, lose to the Bucks, and same old story.
Celtics are doing well.
They're good.
The NBA, who's going to win it all? We shall see. It's just, we shall see.
Yeah,
This Damian Lillard, love this guy out in Portland. He had a huge game a week ago.
I like him too. Actually, I like him a lot.
Yeah, but the NBA, I just, folks, I used to love it.
I did too.
It's the least favorite of my 4 majors.
It's 100% mine. And with all the shenanigans that are going on, and listen, if you really think Kevin Durant is hurt, then you're naive. They're resting this guy for a playoff run. And I don't know whether or not they've had a falling out again with Kyrie Irving, but they do this. This is kind of the new trend in the NBA. Guys just take nights off. They never used to do that in the old days, right? The old Knicks, right? It was DeBusschere, Bradley, Frazier, Reed every single night. And it's different now. So, the Lakers play the Knicks, or I think it was the Knicks or the Nets, and LeBron James sat it out. And we got to be on the LeBron watch, right? He's 63 points away from breaking Kareem's all-time scoring record, which is, listen, it's certainly noteworthy for the league. I mean, the guy has been the face of the National Basketball
How many
Association.
three-pointers did Kareem have again?
I bet he didn't have any.
I-
Did he have any?
I looked it up. It's less than 5.
Yeah. And listen, him
But you
and
have to give LeBron James his due here. There's no question.
100%, no question. And you're right. It's just the NBA with no defense. It's just not appealing to me. I mean, we'll watch some of the playoffs because I like watching Giannis play. I like watching Lillard play. The Doncic. These kids are great. The Morants. There's a lot of young talent in this league.
Harden, our favorite player.
Oh God, he is not going to win a championship with Philadelphia. That's for sure.
I'm okay with that.
Yep. The time is running out.
I have no problem with that.
I got you. So, Steve, it's the All-Star break for the National Hockey League, and a couple of things I wanted to bring up. Look at the year this guy Connor McDavid is having. He's got 92 points. And when we think about 92 points at the All-Star break, right? Immediately you think Wayne Gretzky's record, I think it was 212 points in a season, which is unbelievable. Unbelievable. But he's not going to even approach that. That just shows you how impressive Wayne Gretzky's career was. But this guy is an absolute stud.
Absolutely.
And it's great to see that it's happening in Edmonton because of the history of that franchise and all the Stanley Cups they won. But he is the face of the National Hockey League right now. And the Boston Bruins. Look at this team. They're on pace to set all kinds of records for the winningest team. I thought they were going to blow that team up after last year, and they didn't. They all hung together, and now they're playing.
Bruins are loaded.
They are loaded. I mean, and I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, say, we're Rangers fans, right? No question about that. But they got to start learning how to beat the Boston Bruins. They got to start beating those teams that, they haven't been able to beat. And they're not going to win a Stanley Cup unless they can prove that they can do that. So,
we got to beat them in the playoffs. There's no question.
Yep.
I mean, hockey news this week. Lou Lamoriello was in the news. The Islanders pulled off a great trade. They got Bo Horvat from Vancouver. This kid's got 31 goals. Stud. Problem here is he's going to be a free agent. I don't think Horvat's overly enthusiastic about being an Islander.
Well, no.
He was actually, the Bruins were very, very close to getting him. I think Horvat wanted to go to the Bruins. Can you imagine if the Bruins got Horvat? They'd be the odds-on favorite.
Yeah, but the thing with Horvat, he says, I thought I was going to be a Canuck for life.
Well,
he didn't want to go anywhere.
Yeah, Vancouver has a lot of problems. I mean, they fired Bruce Boudreau. They hired Tocchet. They were mired in a big losing streak. Morale in Vancouver's not good. It's a good franchise. They've had really good teams in the past. But Horvat, I mean, he was disappointed. They don't, Vancouver is a mess right now, so they weren't going to make him a Canuck for life. But the point is, Lou Lamoriello saw this kid. It's a good move for the Islanders. I don't know if it gets them over the hump.
Mm-hmm.
But my point is, you haven't heard a lot from Lou Lamoriello. Lou Lamoriello is 80 years old now. It's a good trade, but Horvat's going to be a free agent, so I don't know if he'll stick around for the Islanders.
Yeah.
The Rangers, what I'm hearing is sniffing Timo Meier from San Jose. This is a 25, 26-year-old kid. He's got a lot of goals. The Patrick Kane rumors have been going on for about a year. I don't want anything to do with Patrick Kane. He's 34. He's going to be a free agent. Costs a hell of a lot more money. Meier, listen, this kid, if we're going to give up assets to Rangers and get a kid like this, I'm all for it. So the Rangers, Drury's going to make a move. Deadline is, probably a month away or so.
2 weeks, yeah.
But the Rangers, they're
in the mix.
They're going to make the playoffs. Carolina is loaded. They're playing great. They're right there with Boston.
Yeah, they're good.
So I think the East this year
I think Brenda Moore's done an amazing job.
certainly
for
has, but I
Carolina.
think the Eastern teams this year is better than the Western Conference. Defending Cup champs Avalanche, they're so formidable still. But the Bruins, I think right now they got to be the odds-on favorite. They're
Yeah.
just loaded. Their goaltending is good. This kid Linus Ullmark,
Yeah.
they got the new coach Montgomery, and the Bruins are loaded for bear.
Yeah. And listen, one other hockey note, because real interesting, this junior kid, Connor Bedard. And he's like, when we always talk about the next phenom, right? The next Gretzky, it was Sid the Kid and now McDavid. And this kid has got a 35-game point scoring streak, and I think it's the AHL or something. Plays for the Regina Pats. But he's the next superstar, right? The way that Jack Hughes has developed for the Devils. What a season he's had. He was the first pick in the draft, I think, right, a few years ago, and he's starting to come into his own now.
And then when you hear Alexis Lafreniere on the Rangers, his name was right there with all these guys. People are, he doesn't have the numbers. He's on the third line, this, that, and the other thing. I have all the faith this kid, in 2-3 years will be the face of the Rangers.
Wow.
So let's be patient with Lafreniere, but
We will.
But Jack Hughes was the year before Lafreniere, and then when you hear McDavid and Sid the Kid, Lafreniere had this can't miss,
I know.
aura to him. Patience.
Well, it's got to have whether
it has to happen soon.
Whether Gerard Gallant has the patience for him, because he's starting to seem to get a little frustrated with this kid, not maturing fast enough.
Well, I'm going to say one thing. Barry Trotz is still out there. I'm not saying Gallant. I'm a big Gallant fan. I was all for him being hired.
Definitely.
If the Rangers get knocked out in the first round, don't be surprised if Gallant's out the door, because after this year, there's no more compensation for Trotz. I think Barry Trotz. I think next year there's a pretty solid chance Barry Trotz will be there.
Oof. I thought Gallant was here to stay.
Listen, I'm a Gallant fan, but Barry Trotz is out there.
All right. Hey, so listen, Steve. So let's just move on to college basketball real quick, right? There's no dominant team this year. When you look at the top 20, you don't see North Carolina, you don't see Duke, right? But this kid I think his name is Ivy for Purdue. He's a tough player.
Yeah, Purdue is number one in the country. They're right there. We've never seen Purdue win a national championship, right? With all the Gene Katie teams.
Oh, they had a lot of good
Carrolls
teams
of the world and all that.
Yes.
It's
wide open in college basketball this year.
Really,
it's awesome.
Gonzaga is, I think, 12th or 13th in the country now. So they've slipped a little bit, but anybody can win it this year.
And you just brought up Gonzaga. This kid Drew Timme, like, just scored his 2,000th point, and he's going to be obviously the all-time Gonzaga scoring leader when he's said and done. And immediately I thought, he's got to be breaking Adam Morrison's record or something. Not even there. The guy Jim McPhee and Fred Burgess. I don't remember those guys at all. But this kid Timmy's he's a solid player. He's going to be a good NBA player too.
Sure.
Yep. So Steve, let's move on to our random points of interest. As always, sponsored by Lynch Toyota of Manchester, Connecticut. Some interesting things. You brought up one of our loyal listeners, Jim Walsh. I was hoping to have a conversation with him because the Yankees signed Gleyber Torres to a 1-year deal for.
We avoided arbitration. Ooh.
Yeah, $9-10 million bucks, and I know Jim Walsh is running out of patience with him. I still think he's got a lot of talent. I don't know if he's trying to hit home runs, and that's what's kind of been slowing him down. But I'd be interested to know Mr. Walsh's thoughts on Gleyber Torres returning. Yankees still got a lot of holes to fill, but hey, it's a bargain. $10 million now for a serviceable guy. He's now at second base, right?
It's called trade bait.
Yeah, maybe.
Listen, I won't be
Maybe.
surprised.
And in Major League Baseball, though, the Mets. And this is an interesting thing. They signed Jeff McNeil, right, to
Okay.
a
worthy contract.
almost. I thought they kind of lowballed him. You know, this guy's a 307 lifetime hitter, and he's a very serviceable guy for that organization. He's a key player. I thought they got off cheap with him, right? 4 years, 50 million with the amount of money that's being thrown around. I thought that was quite a bargain for it. How many guys are 307 lifetime hitters in this league anymore? And he doesn't drive in runs, but he's an outstanding fielder, right? He can play the infield, can play the outfield. Thought the Mets got a bargain on him.
Kind of reminded me of the DJ LeMahieu deal, right? When we re-signed him a couple of years ago.
Yeah, he's got a.
I was surprised. I thought LeMahieu was going to get a lot more money.
Yeah.
But he was content with it. He said he could live on 96 million.
That's why I thought McNeil was a bargain, to be quite honest with you. Especially with Cohen and the money they're throwing
sure.
around, A couple other things. We have to give kudos to Novak Djokovic winning the Australian Open. And again, we talked about it last week, and you said he potentially could have 5 more Grand Slam titles. I don't know if I can see 5, but I can certainly see 3. I actually
Who's
thought
going to beat him in the next 3 years?
I thought this
Mr.
guy
Garvey, hello.
I thought this kid Tsitsipas was going to take him down in the Australian Open, but this guy keeps surprising
If he's
everybody.
healthy, he's going to win
He's a
Grand
robo.
Slam after Grand Slam.
He is a
I think
robo.
5 is a shoo-in.
Wow.
I do.
He's 35 years old,
For
though.
what?
Anyway, so you got to give the guy credit. I mean, he's just
Absolutely.
he goes to his
It
own.
wasn't even really close.
Yeah.
Right.
Steve, interesting thing from a random points. They're marking the 100th anniversary of the first college football game played at Yankee Stadium.
Right.
And it was Pitt, Syracuse. And the 100th anniversary game, it's obviously not the same stadium, but I think that was a great marketing idea. Playing Pitt against Syracuse in Yankee Stadium in November, I think it is. That's good marketing by the NCAA, I think.
Yeah. It's good for the Northeast.
Yeah.
I mean, that stadium will be full, alumni, the whole thing. Syracuse, obviously, Pitt, there's a ton of New Jersey kids that go to Pitt.
Yeah.
No, it's good.
One of our St. Joe's guys is the quarterback at Pitt, right?
Yep.
And when we talk about this is God, it goes to the point of why can't these guys enjoy success without getting their name in the newspaper? Stetson Bennett, right, 2-time quarterback for Georgia's national championship, and you could tell he's got an edge to him. He's always he lights a cigar before he gets off the field. So
He's 40 years old.
I don't know how old he is, but
25.
but I think any chance of him, making the NFL with this incorrigible behavior off the field is not going to help his chances.
It didn't help. But let's be real. I mean, it's odd, right? Stetson Bennett, back-to-back national champion, right? The guy who's been lights out for Georgia.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you hear his name when you hear Bryce Young, Will Levis,
No.
The top, C.J. Stroud? No, you don't. Why? He's 5'11". I think he's about 90, something like that.
Yeah, 5'11's being generous.
And it would be a late round pick if he didn't get busted.
4th round pick, maybe.
Free agent, and good luck sticking with the
I
roster.
know.
Grow up. You're 25 years old.
Right. Keep your nose clean, and you got a shot at it. Right. One other random point I wanted to bring up because I found this to be, oh God, Kellen Winslow Jr. Right, an absolute animal. Right, serving 14 years, and now he's petitioning the state to get out of jail because
he doesn't like jail.
No, because he's saying football drove him to this.
Wow.
And I laughed. I'm like, you were an animal before, and now you're gonna play that card. What a complete disrespect to everybody who has had CTE or suffered those career-ending. We saw how it panned out with Junior Seau and stuff like that. An absolute joke. I can't even believe that they would waste the ink to even print this story and for somebody to even take that serious. God.
The way I see it, Kellen Winslow Jr. must be going to the library and getting his
Ugh.
law license, and has decided that he's going to play this card, anything to get out of jail. Kellen Winslow Sr., Class Act Hall of Fame player,
100%.
right? Is still the father of
Of an animal.
of an animal.
Yep.
But what a disappointment this kid was. I mean,
Yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to bring it up because don't make excuses for that kind of behavior.
I don't even think.
And listen, I just again wanted to thank Luke Whippler for joining the show. It was a banner week for Sports with Mono and Mono, and that's because everybody, all the feedback I got about Luke, what a classy, quality, smart, intelligent kid, and just wanted to give a shout out to him again and say thanks, Luke, and we're gonna have him on the show again come draft time because
Thanks again, Luke, and good luck, buddy.
it was awesome to have him. So, Steve, we move to our notable passings, and there's some
Notable
big
pass?
names. Yeah,
Mhm.
the Golden Jet, Bobby Hull, 84 years old, and I was looking. Obviously he was just dynamic, and the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree. His son Brett was a sniper on the ice too, but Bobby Hull scored over 500 goals in the NHL, and he scored over 300 goals in the WHA. So, I mean, you want to talk about a guy that lit the lamp. Whoa. Give this guy some credit. I mean, 500 goals was certainly a milestone in the NHL, but he brought a lot of goals with him from the WHA.
I mean, Bobby Hull, early 60s, with Stan Mikita's Donuts from Wayne's World. Stanley Cup champs with the Blackhawks, which was huge.
1961, I think. Right? Yeah.
But Bobby Hull, my memory of Bobby Hull, my first Ranger game I ever went to was 1979. And our father had season tickets for 2 or 3 years, if I remember correctly, right? And the Winnipeg Jets, that was the game I went to. Bobby Hull played, I think, like 13 or 14 games with them in the NHL.
With who? The Whalers?
Not for the Winnipeg Jets.
Oh,
right? But WHA, he would. So then they merged, blah, blah, blah. But I'll never forget that. But Bobby Hull was like 30 something at that point.
Yeah.
That was my first Ranger game. Now, Bobby Hull, Hall of Famer, great hockey player. I mean, bar none. But Bobby Hull, the person, had issues, okay?
he did.
And we have to, bring it up. Bobby Hull wasn't, a real good guy. Let's face it. And I'm not going to go into details, but you can, fans can look him up. But R.I.P. Bobby Hull. I mean, great career. Brett Hull, obviously, superstar hockey player.
Yep.
But the Golden Jet, 84.
84. He was.
He's a name that was a very recognizable name. R.I.P. Bobby.
Yeah, another one from the world of sports, Steve. Bobby Beathard,
Bobby Beathard.
86.
Yeah.
And this guy won wherever he went. He put together. He was a genius. He was one of those genius general managers that could sense the talent and pull it all together. And had a great career, great resume.
Yes, he did. Bobby Beathard was a member of the Dolphins front office, director of player personnel. So Super Bowl rings with Shula.
Yep.
Famous for the Washington Redskins, hiring Joe Gibbs, drafted Darrell Green, and basically built that team. Then went on to San Diego His one egg on the face is they drafted Ryan Leaf. He's
Yep.
famous for that.
Yep.
However, they were able to cut him, but he took San Diego, with Stan Humphries to the Super Bowl 3-4 years later. Bobby Beathard, 86, is
Yep.
again one of the preeminent front office guys in the NFL. His
Yep.
resume is impeccable for the most part. And his son, CJ Beathard, or grandson, excuse me,
I gotta be
he's in the
crazy.
NFL. He was on San Francisco a couple years ago, played at Iowa. But Bobby Beathard is an NFL man.
And here's what
right.
what stood out about this was when he was trying to sell Jack Kent Cooke on Joe Gibbs. It took him hours, and Jack Kent Cooke said, "I don't know what you see in this guy, but that just gives you a perspective of what kind of eye for talent he had, and the rest is history as far as we consider Joe Gibbs in the top 5 all-time head coaches in the National Football League, and that's to Bobby Beathard's credit.
All right, babe.
Yep. And another member of those Super Bowl winning teams for Pittsburgh Steelers, and I was mentioning it to Rob, Sidney Thornton, right? Wasn't a prominent player on the team, but he was a Franco Harris backup, and we just lost Franco Harris a few weeks ago, but Sidney Thornton was 68 and had a pretty decent career and got 2 rings out of the deal.
Number 38, and a tough runner, well-built, running back. He was tough as
Neck
nails.
collar guy. Didn't he have a neck collar?
A little neck collar
Maybe.
every now and then.
Yep.
But Sidney, he wasn't on the early Steeler Super Bowl teams. He came in late 70s,
Yes.
right? So when
Yep.
you say Franco's backup, Franco was starting to get up there in age. But Sidney Thornton was a good Pittsburgh Steeler and had a serviceable career.
He did.
All right, babe.
68.
Yeah.
Couple other things, Steve, from the world of entertainment. We lost Shirley from Laverne and Shirley,
Yeah.
Cindy Williams,
Yes, we did.
who was always pretty nice person. Always, everybody seemed to like her in Hollywood and so forth. The show was unwatchable, of course.
American Graffiti, she was in.
She was in American Graffiti. Yep. She was 75.
Yeah,
75.
That was her signature role. Made her a ton of money.
Yeah.
Famous, and like I said, she was very well respected, well liked in Hollywood. So, all right.
Yep. And one other one, Lisa Loring. Wednesday from the Addams Family.
Right.
And there is a very funny clip of her dancing with Lurch to a Grateful Dead song. If you can find it on YouTube, it's very, very funny. And she one of those child actor things, nothing panned out after that, but she was Wednesday.
From the Addams Family.
Absolutely. 64 years old,
Yeah.
right? So listen, thanks for joining us, everybody, this week, Steve. It's great to have you back on a regular basis now. And again, a lot of people still ask about, that your recovery's going, and it's going very well. And
I'm here.
and we thank everybody for listening. And again, please send us emails and thanks for the support. And this was a great week for us. And
Sports with Mano a Mano at gmail.com.
Yep.
And folks, thank you again for all the well wishes.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to be back on a regular basis. And, a lot to talk about. Sports is sports, and life is life. And stay warm in the Northeast.
Right.
It is freezing out there, like we opened the show with.
It is.
And thank you, Rob, as always, for
Yep.
producing the show.
Rob's got a couple games for Seton Hall to catch this weekend, so good luck with that, Rob.
Yeah, good luck. They're pretty good this year.
Yep. All right, guys. We'll catch up to you next week. Thanks for joining us.
You got it.